lands in Sderot. In the past 8 years in Sderot, over 10,000 rockets have landed, have targeted innocent civilians. Over 50% of those rockets that have landed have been fired since 2005, since the disengagement plan. 97% of the rockets which are fired from the Gaza Strip into Sderot are fired from populated areas within the Gaza Strip, such as Beit Hanun, which is what you're seeing right here in this picture. This is a bird's eye view. If you're standing at the edge of Sderot, if you're at the last home in Sderot and you're looking into the Gaza Strip, this is what you're seeing. The first neighborhood that you see inside the Gaza Strip is a place called Beit Hanun, which, like I said, almost 97% of the rockets are fired from this area. The damage that has taken place in Sderot is almost unaccountable. Over 1,500 homes have been somehow damaged by the rocket attacks. 230 vehicles have been hit and damaged by rockets. And the value of property in Sderot has dropped almost 50%. So almost 20% of residents of Sderot have left the city. But those that still want to leave, most of them can't because they just can't sell their homes. They can't leave. Businesses have closed down. Factories have closed down. Almost over 30 factories, really prominent factories that have been around since the beginning of the state, have closed down. Millions and billions of shekels in industry has been lost, and people, a large percentage of the people living in Sderot today have lost their jobs. But I think one of the biggest themes that have happened in Sderot today is the children of Sderot. Almost 90% of children in Sderot today are suffering from a disease called PTSD, which is post-trauma stress disorder. And almost 50% of adults at the same time are suffering from the same thing. The statistics are almost irrelevant. Although the statistics are incredible, at the same time the statistics are almost irrelevant. Because every time a rocket is fired towards the residents of Sderot, every resident has somehow been affected by the rocket attacks. And they feel that at that moment, as if that rocket is almost going to land on their head. But I never came here to tell you about statistics. I never came to teach you history. I came to tell you personal stories, because the new campaign, what I'm doing now, is all about connecting people to the human story. I spent a lot of time before this campaign researching stories which had took place in Sderot. I spent a lot of time in Sderot with the Sderot Media Center, going through personal stories of people, meeting people, documenting these stories. And of all the stories that I came across, there was one story that stood out. And that's the story of Ella Abekasis. Ella, who features on our t-shirt, was a 17-year-old girl. The story takes place 4 years ago. She's walking to a youth movement meeting of Bnei Akiva with her little brother. She's walking in the street just on a normal day in Sderot. Everything seems perfectly normal. The red code alert goes off, the siren goes off. She panics. She doesn't have enough time to reach a bomb shelter. So what does she do? She lies her little brother down on the ground. She lies him on the ground next to her. She lies on top of him, and unfortunately the rocket lands literally 10 meters away from her. Some of the rockets that have landed in Sderot have an impact radius of 100 meters. The rocket lands 10 meters away from her. She gets hit by shrapnel from the rocket, and unfortunately Ella passes away a week after that. The story of Ella for us summarized the story of Sderot for the following reason. It's a story which happened to a normal person, a small innocent girl, Jewish girl, that was placed in an incredibly extreme circumstance. And she did an incredibly heroic act, something that I don't know if any of us would do, right? It's very hard to judge the situation. But that's the story of Sderot. It's about normal people, everyday people, people that just want to get on with their lives, just want to go to work, make a living, get married, all the normal things about life. But yet, their lives have been put on hold for almost 8 years now. Their lives have been put on hold, and they're facing daily very extreme circumstances because Sderot is a very extreme circumstance. And this brings us to the new campaign. Okay, what is the new campaign? The new campaign started with an idea. I've involved other people as well. We wanted to do something about events happening in Israel. We wanted to we were very frustrated that there's so much media coverage which focuses on Israel, and yet there's a very important story which is lost in all this coverage, and that's the human story, right? Connecting people to everyday people's stories, which sometimes, for us, are more important than the politics and the news and the headlines and those things. It's the everyday people's stories which is more important. So we wanted to do something. We wanted to start a project in which we can connect people around the world, and particularly young people. It was always my belief that I still perceive myself as young. I'm 30 years old, but I still like to think that I am young. And it was always in my interest that this project would target young people, because they just, on a personal level, are more important to me at this stage of my life. So we started the new campaign. Nu, as I said to a few people before the talk, it's taken from the Hebrew slang word nu, right? We know if you've been in Israel for long enough to know, you're walking in the street, someone says to you nu, they want you to react. Right? Either you've done something to them, or they want to engage you. So they say no, they want you to respond. And that's what the campaign is. It's a response to what's happening in Israel today. We've used the tool of a t-shirt and fashion and clothing to achieve this. We do that because, let me just say, the motto of No is learn the story, buy the shirt, know who you've helped. And this sums up the entire project. We want to teach people the story. We want you to learn the human story of various stories happening in Israel. We want you to buy the shirt, because by buying the shirt, we achieve two things. One, you're going to make a financial contribution to the cause. I'll explain to you where the money is going for the 15 seconds in Sderot shirt. But there's another whole element to the t-shirt, and that's the following. What we did is, besides the design, which we can get to now in a second, I'll just put it up here so you can look at it while I talk. Okay, there's the design. Besides the design, which I'll speak about in a second, what we've done is we've added a very unique element, which was very crucial to this campaign, is that on the inside of the t-shirt, opposite the heart, we print the story of each story which we take on. And the idea is that when you buy the shirt, you're carrying the story on your heart, and you, please God, will become a spokesperson for the cause whenever you wear the t-shirt. So that's the second element of the motto. So we've had learn the story, buy the shirt, and now know who you've helped. By buying a t-shirt, we take down every person's detail. When we meet student groups, we collect emails at the end. Anyone who buys a shirt voluntarily gives me their email address. We've got a Facebook group which we started 3 weeks ago. Every day people are joining. And the idea is that once a month you're going to get a newsletter which is going to update you as to where your financial contribution went. And in doing so, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you, these are projects that you guys are working on, but there's an idea in fundraising to provide opportunities to people that don't have a lot of money to make a contribution. Because sometimes making a contribution is not always about the money. Sometimes you can contribute in many other ways, which I'm sure you guys have spoken about. And this was one way. I want a person to buy a shirt that doesn't cost that much money, or to some people it might cost a lot of money. But through this contribution, we're providing opportunities to young people and to people that might not necessarily have a lot of money to get involved. In fact, our market, which is the student market, we can naturally say the student market don't have a lot of money. They're not considered as targets for big fundraising organizations. But here we are creating a grassroots program which is targeting an audience which essentially hasn't been really tapped in the past.